Now, live and in studio on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, your real estate and financial experts, making sure you win in every market. Your financial partners, Don and Gino.
Ho, ho, ho. Hopefully you heard that at your home last night. That's right. I'm sure all your little kiddies out there are opened your presents all day yesterday and now playing with your new toys or probably your video games these days. All the kids are all about video games now.
You know, I'm pretty lucky, and I got to thank my wife for this. She really doesn't let them play too many video games. I was a video game junkie as a kid.
That's why she doesn't let them play with them.
Kind of. She loves video games, though. It's kind of funny, actually.
My Christmas present is getting to spend a whole day with my wife. That's what we do. We watch Christmas movies. We crack open a little bubbly, little mimosas, and enjoy a great day.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's nice having a quiet day.
Yep, getting ready for the new year.
What about you, Chris? You and the kids tearing it up yesterday?
I was going to say, quiet day. I haven't had one of those.
Yeah, he doesn't have kids. It's
know
different.
what that's all about. Yeah, you know, we're excited. I mean, my kids, Christmas is so much fun with little ones running around.
I bet, huh?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Very cool, very cool. All right, so we were touching a little bit. We have a financial planner. So last week we had the big taper day. We've been talking about for quite some time whether they're going to taper or not to taper, which means the Fed has been purchasing $85 billion worth of mortgage-backed securities and treasuries, which would help stimulate our market and keep interest rates down and so forth. So the concern was, when are they going to stop it? When are they going to stop printing money, basically, and let us go out on our own without the stimulus? And there's been a lot of debate over that, and the person who started it all, Ben Bernanke, basically just had his last hurrah last week, and as we predicted, there was a chance that he was going to actually be the one to start tapering, meaning stopping this stimulus program, because we said either it's going to be zero, at most we can only see possibly $5 billion of each mortgage-backed securities and mortgage treasuries, so $10 billion total. That's what we said, that they give us a little bone, and sure enough, that's what they did.
Yeah, you know, what was interesting about it, though, is that the reason I thought they might taper was to slow down what I think is a pretty overheated stock market. And we could talk about valuations a little more, and maybe it's not, maybe it's still a deal, but I think it's a little overheated, so I thought we were going to get a taper to cool it down, but I don't know that that's had that effect, did it?
No, I mean, if you would have asked me a week and a half ago before it happened what was going to happen, you know, I really thought Ben Bernanke would just leave things as is while he was in office and let Janet Yellen worry about it when she stepped into office. So
very nice of him, huh?
Yeah, you know, go out on a high, because I think the thought process is that once we got any form of taper, that the market was going to use that as a little profit taking, and we saw the exact opposite thing. So it's kind of reassuring that the market felt so confident, and when they saw the numbers come out, the market jumped considerably. So it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think that ultimately what it was is that there was definitely some confidence that they weren't going to do it too quickly.
Right.
Okay, and if you just tuned in, you're going, I recognize that voice. That's right, Mr. Chris Ingram. He's our financial planning guru. Been with our basically as our guest expert for quite a while now, and he's sharing with us his opinions on what's going on with the markets, especially after the initial taper. And what's amazing is, like, initially we saw stock market rally. I'm curious, though. We've been actually, and we're not the experts. That's why we bring you on, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been a little concerned. We've been only concerned with not that the market will for sure have a correction. We feel that there's a correction due. And it's needed sometimes. Same with our bond market, which controls interest rates. Same in the stock market. A correction actually is a good thing. Am I correct? Every once in a while you need a correction to keep the momentum going?
Yeah, definitely.
Otherwise you have a crash, a bubble, basically.
Yeah, you get to a point where you're in a bubble situation, an overbought situation, and the market is too high. Then you go back to something like 1999, where you've got these technology stocks that the valuations are ridiculous, and then when the bottom drops out, you have a huge crash to the market, and that's something that an occasional pullback keeps the market healthy and keeps us from being in that type of situation. You look at valuations right now, they're not ridiculous right now. There's probably pockets where there's things that are ridiculous, but valuations don't seem overly stretched, but you're right. We could still use a little pullback here to kind of get our wits about us and get back to a little cheaper levels, and then have buying come back into the market.
Well, the fear we've talked about, and the main reason I'm bringing this up, Chris, is it's going to allude to talking to someone like you, so that in case or when that does happen, that they're prepared. Because if you're not prepared, you think I got this handled. Because when the market's euphoric and going up, everybody thinks they're an expert.
Right.
It's pretty easy to say I know what I'm doing when it's all going up. It's kind of like back in 2000, you bought a home going, hey, I'm a great real estate investor. Well, everybody was a great real estate investor. It didn't matter what home you bought, you made money. What we're concerned with is when it pulls back, everybody's euphoric and they're riding that wave, want to be part of history. But on the contrary, when it starts tanking, you also get a lot of fear in the market, and therefore a lot of people tend to jump on that bandwagon and all jump off the the sinking ship per se all at once, regardless of technicals. You understand technicals, but we know that emotions can play as much of a factor in valuations as well. But when the market moved, it was kind of nice. This is why we have you on, Chris, and that's why we tell you to talk to somebody like Chris if you don't have a financial expert, is your emotions were like, didn't really, I just watch it go up and down. Doesn't really affect me and my clients. I pay attention to it in case there's something dramatic or something I should notice, but it doesn't really affect you on a day-to-day basis because you have your clients protected. Am I right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, you look at, we'll rebalance a portfolio. Market rallies for this year. You step in, you rebalance the portfolio, which forces you to take profits in the areas that have run considerably over the last year. You move that money out, and you reinvest that money into areas of your portfolio that have either underperformed or have maybe even lost some money over the last 12 months. So you're reallocating to some of the areas that valuations are a little bit lower and taking money from areas that you have profits. So using that rebalancing technique in your portfolio can kind of keep your portfolio healthy when you have these big moves one way or the other. But continuing to look at the long term, making sure you're focused on where are we going to be 10 years from now versus where are we going to be 6 months from now is super important, because you can take a deep breath, you can let go of the emotional ties to what's going to happen tomorrow and what's going to happen next month, and what's going to happen when they taper again, and you can kind of step back and look at it from a broader perspective, and some of the fear and the anxiety leaves. And then it puts you in a position of control, because when that pullback happens, you can think logically, and you can say, okay, do I have any extra cash sitting in my savings account? Maybe the market pulled back here a little. Maybe I need to allocate some of that money or add money to my portfolio now while things are a little less expensive. So you've become more of a Warren Buffett now. You are buying low and selling high, whereas the emotional investor spends a lot of time.
The opposite, right?
Yeah, they sell low and they buy high. They buy when emotions are high and the market's doing well, and then when it crashes, they panic and they sell out of everything. And you really got to get into a rhythm of being the opposite of that. When the market goes really high, take some profits. When the market drops, add some money to your portfolio and reallocate. So
I love speaking sense, making sense, and paying attention. And not anytime you deal with stuff emotionally, whether it's your finances or your relationships, it's never that good. You got to be careful. And I love that you're so calm. This is the way Chris is all the time too. Even when he's kicking your at Afterburn, he's just nice and calm, cool, and collected, and pulling away from you. It's just what he does. He's calm, cool, and collected, and he helps you be that way. And the reason we wanted Chris here for our Christmas special is to help you prepare for the new year. And there's also some things you should know about allocation-wise, like Chris is talking about for the new year, or the end of the year, I should say, setting you up for the new year, that we're going to go into more in depth. So you don't want to miss that, because there's some things that maybe you didn't know you should be doing or shouldn't be doing to protect basically your assets and protect the money that you have now, or the money you've made this year.
Well, I think that's what we're going to really dig into, is that, you've had a good year. Hopefully everybody did have a good year, considering what the stock market did as a whole. So what do you do next? How do you prepare for next year? And I thought that was brilliant to think about, what's it going to do in 10 years? What's it going to do in 20 years? You got to look at your retirement horizon. and really plan appropriately that way rather than planning for next week, next month, tomorrow. Very hard to be a day trader if that's not your full-time job.
Right.
All right, so we're going to come back with Chris Ingram with Infinity Wealth Management, our financial planning expert that we just love going over this stuff. And actually, make sure to always reach out to us with questions at donandgino@gmail.com, donandgino@gmail.com, or Don Gino, 855 Don Gino. It's pretty easy. And ask those questions to Chris. And when we come back, Chris, how about we talk about IRAs, what you're supposed to be doing at the end of the year, 401ks, mutual funds, all that good stuff, tax harvesting, stuff that you need to know about. Maybe you don't know. Stay tuned so you do. You don't want to miss out. When we come back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS, on our holiday special. Merry Christmas.